All right, here we go again. We're going to do a couple more of these. Is for evaluating expressions, algebraic expressions, with decimal values given. So we're going to start out, of course, to go over the rules that it just means to find the value when you're asked to evaluate, but I like it in a certain order. I always want you to work vertically on your paper when evaluating, and I have the fake paper here for you. Any computational work needs to be shown in the margin. Now you can see I have a little tiny margin here, so I'll probably be going to the side, just offset from the equation work, expression work, which is important. You can see the example I have down here where x plus 10 is the algebraic expression, x is the variable, 10 is the constant, and you're given x is equal to 7. This is very easy. We know we could do this in our head, but we have to show these steps in math. It's a skill that becomes much more powerful for you later on when you have much more complicated expressions. So you substitute in this second step here, and then you evaluate according to the operations. We'll only be doing one operation, expressions, at this point, but make sure you're following the steps, as I will be. Okay, the first one's a simple addition problem. We, of course, see the expression here. The variable is to the right. Now, we know we could have set it up x plus 3 and 73 hundredths, but it doesn't make a difference. So we, of course, rewrite it. We rewrite everything. 3 and 73 hundredths plus the given value. And, of course, where do we find it? It's right there next to it. So we go over here, 18 and 9/10, and we just substitute it in there, 18 and 9/10. And we would anywhere we would have seen the x's. Okay. Now, of course, because I don't have any room here, I'm going to go over here to the side, and I'm going to do my computational work. Now, I'm just going to do it very quickly, and I'll probably pause the tape because we should already know how to do this, that I align the decimals. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I'm going to finish this up right here on the side, and I might as well finish it, but the addition part I'm going to finish. You can see that I've aligned the decimals. I might want to annex a 0 here, should I wish. Now I'm going to pause it and finish the math. Okay, as you can see, I have evaluated the 3 and 73 hundredths plus 18 and 9/10, and I got this answer. Now I just take that answer there, and I put the value underneath. This is neat. It's logical steps. And it shows exactly what I'm doing, Now remember, we don't always have to write down, if we're copying from a book, what our value is. We could certainly see that it's substituted right here. Okay, let's go ahead and do a subtraction problem. 5 minus y, where y is equal to 3 and 28 hundredths. Remember here, order is important. I'd scream it, but the last time I yelled, the neighbor didn't like that, and I got yelled at myself. So we substitute 5 minus 3 and 28 hundredths. That's the substitution part. Okay, now I go over to my margin. I go offset 5 minus 3 and 28 hundredths. Now remember here, order is important. Top number is the first one. The bottom one is the second one in this case, because we're dealing with that. Now you can see what I'm doing. I'm lining up the decimals, and I am definitely annexing zeros here. It's very important because we can't take away, so we've got to go ahead and we've got to steal. So we're going to steal on this one. I'm going to pause the tape and finish that up myself. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've evaluated that, making sure my decimals were lined up and I annexed my zeros, and I borrowed appropriately. If you're having trouble with that, you can always go and look at the other lessons that I've done on decimal subtraction and all the decimal work posted on the site. So we have 1 and 72 hundredths, so we just take that and we write it here. And you can see how neat and organized this is. And I'm even trying to stay in on the lines. So there, make sure I have my decimal bold. Okay, so that's subtraction. Making sure order is important was a very key factor there. Okay, 1 and 25 hundredths times 2 and 8 tenths. I need to realize that when there is a number right next to a variable, that multiplication is going on. I should write that when I do substitute. 1 and 25 hundredths times 2 and 8 tenths. I put my dot multiplication because I like that much better, and you'll see it's a better thing to do. Okay, so I have that, making sure the dot is in the middle, my decimals are in place, and I've substituted appropriately. Remember, the 1 and 25 hundredths is called the coefficient. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply those. Remember, with multiplication, we do not align the decimals. We do not annex zeros in our factors. We're basically only going to be counting. We're only going to be counting the decimal places in our factors when we do this. Now, if you need a review with this, you could always go and look at the other review ones. Some of you in the 5th grade are having problems with this, that you have to continue to practice and remember what you're doing. We ignore the decimals. I do 8 times 5 first. That's 40. We group. 8 times 2 is 16, plus the 4 is 20. So put that there. I regroup. And I put the 2 there. And then the 8 times 1 is 8, plus the 2 is 10. Not doing a thing with the decimals there. I'm going to put my placeholder now because I now have to multiply the 2. Still trying to be neat and orderly. 2 times 5 is 10. I put my 0 there. Regroup the 1, making sure I put it to the left there. 2 times 2 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2, plus nothing. Now, of course, we add those up. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 0, 5, 0, and then a 3. Okay, now I count. I have 2 decimal places here and 1 here. That means my product has to have 3. It's a little sloppy there, but it should have 3 here. So I know that my decimal starts here, and I have to move it 3 places to the left. 1, 2, 3. See where it goes, but I'm going to put that back over here. I don't actually use the decimal here. So it, of course, is 3 and 5 tenths, and I go ahead and I transcribe that right underneath neatly and nicely. Okay? Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Division, of course, and in division, what's important? I didn't hear you. Okay, here we see it set up as a fraction bar. So m is the numerator, 9 is the denominator. We could also call m the dividend, 9 is the divisor. Now I'm going to substitute. Now because I do like to do this on 2 lines, I'm going to actually not, so I don't squish my work, I'm going to skip a line there, just so I can keep it neat and I can be less confused. So please, please make sure you're doing that on your paper as well, that you're keeping it neat and orderly. All I'm doing here is substituting, and I draw my fraction bar, which is my division sign, and I put the 9 underneath. Make sure the order is important. Now I'm going to set up the house. I'm going to put the 435 and 6 tenths under. The reason I'm doing that is because it's the first number, not because it's the bigger number, not because it's got more digits. It's because it's the dividend. The dividend always goes under the house. Okay, and then I'm going to put this outside. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my decimal right up here, and then I'm going to divide. 9 into, and I'll show you this too. This actually works. It may help you. 9 goes into the 4, or 4 divided by 9, 0 times. Now, I'm not going to do the 0 times 9, but I put this here as a placeholder to be neat. Okay. 43 divided by 9, then, is going to be a 4. So I put my 4 here. 4 times 9 is 36. And I subtract, and I have 7 left over. Now I'm going to scoot this over to see if I'm done. I'm not done. I have this 5. I'm going to bring that down, and I'm not going to move the screen shade until I'm done with that. 75 divided by 9 is 8. 8 times 9 is 72. Subtract it. I have 3 left over. I'm not quite done yet. Scoot it over a little more, and I bring down my 6. And I already have the decimal in place, so that's good. 36 divided by 9 is 4. And so I get my answer. My quotient is 48 and 4/10. I'm going to go one line below just to make sure it's neat and orderly. And I am finished with this. And I hope you keep your work as neat and nice as mine. Good.